Yo.
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 181.
181. That's insane.
Yep.
Wait, what?
It's a whole one more higher than last week. Last episode? Not even last week. Not a lot's going on since our last episode.
Yeah.
We don't really have much to talk about this week.
Nothing at all.
Nothing.
Just like, really
There was a lot of disappointment.
Bipolar that is Blizzard right now. There's like some crazy hype, insanity, and then there's some womp womp,
Yeah. Let's talk about the womp womp.
Yeah. Well, should we do polls or?
No. Hold on. The womp womp was the class announcement. Okay, go ahead. Let's talk about that.
Okay, dude. Chill out. All right. What's going on? Like, some IRL stuff real quick. What are you doing?
Okay.
Why are you doing that?
What am I doing now? Mm-hmm. I've been playing lots of video games, way too much.
Okay.
Wife's traveling out of town and single dadding it this week. Fun stuff.
What games are you playing? I swear to God, if you say wow. How can you still play that? Garbage. Oh my God.
Going hard in the paint, man. This is ridiculous. So good.
Stop.
I Classic WoW is so good, man. I wish they could emulate that amazingness in retail. I really do. So.
Who?
But yeah, been going hard on WoW. I mean, I've dabbled in a couple other things, but we'll talk about the dabbling in a little bit. So
I'm gonna change that.
Yeah, updated thing. But yeah, that's really it. Just that and working. How about you?
Well,
Traveling?
I had such a hard week last week because I upgraded my PC. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. I upgraded my PC. I got the 3080 Ti finally. And I thought that like when I put it in, I bumped like one of my RAM sticks, and so like I de-seeded one of my RAM, and then so I had to like reseed my RAM, and like every single time I was booting, I was basically having to reseed my RAM. And I thought that was a culprit, but it kept happening. And then I played that first night of Diablo Immortal, and then my computer would never turn on again. So yeah, and so I had like computer dissecting. It was awful. This was the worst one I've ever done to date. So I took the whole thing apart, like tested all the cables. Sometimes it would power on, sometimes it wouldn't. And it turned out after everything, and I just happened to check this. Like, this is not something I normally check, but one of the pins on the motherboard power strip was like bent. So I think it wasn't getting like always the proper amount of power.
The
basically.
Motherboard power strip? What do you mean?
So like, the 24 pin connector that goes into like the motherboard, the big long boy. Like one of those little squares was like fucked.
Oh, okay. Yeah. 24 volt rail. Yeah. So, I mean, how did it get fucked? Did you take it out when you put your 3080 in?
No, and here's the other thing is I think that they sent me like a refurbished one. Like I bought a fucking new one, but I'm pretty sure Corsair sent me a refurbished one because it was the 8 pin, which if you know anything about power supplies, like one of the things you can do to test a power supply is it's working is you can put a paper clip in like the pin 7 and 8, like, grounded, like a U, and then it'll spin up like if it's powered on, and that's the way to test the power supply. So what I think happened is someone like fucked that socket, like trying to like put in like a paper clip or something like that, and then like Corsair didn't catch it.
Is it modular? Could you just replace the cables?
Yeah, I did, and that's fixed now. But fucking no, that was awful. That was so like all you want to do is game, and you just can't. And then like it was like 3 days of troubleshooting, and I'm just like,
at least prices are back to normal. I was super. So I got my 3090 when they released. Like I was super lucky. I got it at a great deal. Crazy awesome. And my concern the last 2 years has been, what if this thing dies? Like, how am I going to replace it? You know what I mean? Like with prices being what they are. So it's cool that prices are finally back to normal. I actually went to Newegg the other day and just checked, and you can buy a 3080 straight up for retail price right now, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. So
Yeah, but
no,
fuck,
that
man.
sucks, man.
And I was gonna play more Immortal, like but and now stuff's happening with Immortal, which we'll get into. And
yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, wow, this is an awful week. And then this week it's just been like go go go. I've had like 3 tennis matches this week. I guess I've been going more hard in the paint with tennis now that like I can't game as hard, but I already know like 2023 is gonna roll around.
Let me derail a little bit. You
Okay.
can't game as hard because of the hand.
Yes,
I know. I know. At the season start, you were having hand problems, and that's ultimately why you stopped playing that night.
Yeah. It wasn't even the hand that was like the problem. The one I had surgery on. It was the other hand. The other one?
So is that one acting up now, or what?
It is, and I think it's just like
Do you set your arms on your desk?
I set them on my armrest, and I have like I think you recommended these to me. These pads,
big cushy pads.
Yeah, big cushy pads.
I bought these little. I have these mats. These are like a mat that sits on my desk as well to keep my elbows from. Because my elbows are starting to hurt. I'm like, this is not good.
But it even happens to me like when I'm doing CrossFit, when I'm doing like push-ups, like my hand just like kind of goes out. So I don't know.
It sucks, Boomer.
There's something wrong with me for sure.
You're getting old, dude.
I know. What was I even saying before I said that? Oh yeah, I was playing more tennis. So I've been going more ham on tennis because like I got to get my competitive fix now that I can't play games as much, I guess. So
yeah,
but that's been going great. If you guys are
interested in the mats, I'll get a link and post it in a comment on the video. Yell at me and I'll do that.
But also, so the dating show thing that got postponed until October.
Yeah, I was checking on that to see. I was trying to figure out how I was going to stream that when it came out because they have a Roku app.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I have Rokus, but how could I stream it? And I'm like, I guess I could plug my Roku directly into my capture card. I don't know. I'm trying to think about ways that I could stream that because I was checking. It seems like it's such a hard thing to find though. Like it's not. I had to track their website down. I'm like, where can I watch this? And then they, catch us on Roku. Yeah. It wasn't easy.
I think once it goes live, it'll be easier, but yeah.
Yeah. So
it's definitely not easy to find.
I'm still interested in seeing that. I told my wife the other day, I said, I told her, I don't remember what I was doing. I was like, hey, let me check out this Roku app real quick. And she's like, why? And I'm like, oh, Fluff was on this dating show on here, that one I told you about. She's like, you didn't tell me about that. And I'm like, oh, I didn't tell you? I was like, oh, shit. And then so I told her, and she's like, no way. So she's interested in it too.
Obviously. She's a reality TV juggernaut.
Yeah. So once it airs and we watch it, you'll have to give her the behind the scenes, kind of like what you did with us, where you're like, oh, they made me intro to her 4 times and staged my questions and all that. So,
stage the questions I fucking would ask her during the date, like interrupted me to do it. I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, hey, stop. Can you ask her like what her breast size
I'm like, bro, I go on dates. I got this. Anyways,
oh man,
lots to talk about today. Two big things really to talk about. With maybe a couple of little things sprinkled in, but just like I said, massive bipolar Blizzard news.
Yeah,
you guys will find out what I mean
Extreme.
by that. So first up, poll from when we had the old Wyatt Chang on the Mini Minute podcast.
Who was Wyatt? I've never seen that guy before. Oh wait,
yeah. What class are you going to start in Diablo Immortal? And of course, because of our Twitter restrictions, we can only have 4 options on the polls. We had the combinate. Yep. So Barb Crusader, Necromancer Wizard, Monk DH. And it's really actually a quite tight race. But Barbarian / Crusader coming in number 1.
I'm surprised at that.
I think Crusader has like an OP like charge. The steed charge is like crazy OP for PvP or something like that.
I think historically, to me, when I think about Diablo, I think Necromancer personally, but I think Barb might be the iconic class. What do you think? If you think Diablo franchise, what class do you think is like the poster child?
Fucking Necro. Easy.
I think Barb's up there, man.
Barb's up there. And so is like Wizard / Sorcerer or whatever.
Is Necro it? I don't know. Maybe that should be the poll. I don't know. I think Barb's pretty. Spin to win is so iconic.
Yeah, that would be a good poll. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
But for this week, listen, this Twitter thing's bothering me, and this is such a big question. I wanted to fully encapsulate the results. Okay. So, new meta podcast question of the week. What class are you starting in Diablo 4? And there's a straw poll link in the tweet. Because I don't want to cut this off. I want to know.
Yep.
So, I'm going to post this for you boys.
Thank God it wasn't Witch Doctor. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God. You know, I was actually genuinely concerned. I really was.
I really was too.
And we'll get into that.
Just thank God it wasn't Witch Doctor, you know?
But yeah, which class are you playing in Immortals? If you guys don't know, you've been on a rock. Necro just got announced, and we'll get into that. But so the starting classes now are Druid, Barbarian, Necromancer, Rogue, and Sorcerer. I'm actually kind of curious. What the fuck are you going to play, P?
Necro, of course.
No, you're not.
Actually, honestly, I probably would, except that I know you're going to play Necro and we'll play together. So I don't want to double down on a class. But in all honesty, I would have gone Necro 100%. But I'll be a nice guy.
Okay.
And I'll play something else. I don't know. It'll be game time, honestly. I tend to gravitate towards melee classes. I really do. But
full melee rogue or full melee druid? Full melee barb?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to see. I'll have to see how. I'm assuming prior to release, we'll get some betas and we'll get to test some stuff, and we'll have skills and things released to help me make that decision. If I had to choose today, right now, Assassin looked amazing in the gameplay trailer they showed, so I would go Assassin, and because it had poison abilities for sure, it looked cool. So Assassin would be my choice.
Yeah,
Necro, I would definitely roll a Necro as well. So
if it hadn't been Necro, I would have gone Rogue probably and focused like melee poison. But hopefully,
is it Rogue or Assassin? What do they call
Rogue?
it?
It's Rogue.
Rogue. My bad. Yeah, Rogue.
But yeah, well, I want to kind of jump into the not so great news first. I know we have it out the other way on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Okay.
So
there's just nowhere at. We had Y on the podcast last week. I actually kind of left. I don't know if you feel the same. I left that conversation like feeling okay. Like I kind of expected Immortal.
Yeah, I had side conversations and heard that like. Let's just go ahead and just throw it. We're talking about the monetization.
Yeah.
Right.
First up, we'll throw up this little Metacritic score, a 0.2, which is, if you guys don't know, the worst in history of Metacritic.
Video games. 0.2 is unfathomable. I didn't even it's like not a single positive vote ever. I don't know how it's even that.
There's 64 positive votes.
64, and how many negatives? Like
3,467.
That's pretty crazy. So, man. I don't want to be harsh because I know there are a lot of influences that go into this. So, I feel bad, but at the same time, I don't feel like we got the exact. I don't think we got a good view of what monetization was going to be in Immortal when I asked that question last week.
I agree. What I mean? Yeah.
And I know that had to have been known. It's not like these systems weren't known. It's like, and I also feel like the excuse that it's a mobile game, this is how mobile games work. I don't know if that holds weight to me personally. Like I agree that is how mobile games are monetized, but I don't think that's a justification for it, though. So let's talk about it. Like, what do you think? What are your initial thoughts, and then we'll talk about the monetization in detail a little bit more, so people understand what we're talking about, I guess.
Yeah. So I played the night of, and then my computer busted, and I was kind of just like watching Quinn and some of the other guys, like some of the guys that go hard in the paint, like Rex and And yeah, it was pretty evident pretty early on that, one of the things that if you would have told me before the interview that PvP wasn't going to be normalized, I would immediately been like, okay, why even have it? So
well, there's the answer for that, but we'll
yeah,
get there.
for sure. So yeah, I was kind of blown away. I mean, I knew because I played the alpha. I played the alpha hard, right? Like I was rank 1 worldwide, by the way. And we knew about the crests. Like the crests were busted. It was pay to win for sure. But we knew we had all these other systems in place, and I was kind of looking forward to those. Like there's a lot of different like systems in the end game in Diablo Immortal, and I think that that's a positive thing. But it almost feels like they were created just to have like multiple avenues of revenue.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like, yeah.
So here's my experience that I had on it. It launched on mobile before PC. So it launched on mobile, I think a day or a day and a half before that the PC client was available. At least, that's what my phone's like pre-downloads available. So I jumped on my phone and I played till, I don't know, man, like level 15 or something. And I was like, I hate playing on my phone. I hate it. I honestly do. I didn't like it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to wait till it comes out on the PC client. That's what I want to play on. So I put it down. And then it came out on PC, and I jumped in and I played. Like the second it I woke up that morning and I think it had already launched, but I fired it up instantly, and I played for hours. And I got my controller out. I tested the controller. I tested the keyboard and mouse. I set key bindings. I played with graphical settings. I did all the stuff on PC client. I'm like, ooh, like let's see what we can actually like do with this. It looked okay. I mean, I wasn't, I play on a 1440p monitor. I don't know if they like it. It looked like they were upscaling 1080p resolutions, which is kind of weird. I wonder if I had a 4K monitor, if it would have looked a little crisper, maybe. But that being what it said, everything else was maxed out, and it played surprisingly better than I thought with keyboard and mouse. I was like, okay, this is doable, and I played for a little bit, and then had a good time. I hung it up, and then I tuned into some streamers who had been blasting it, right? And I started looking because I wasn't at Endgame. I was mid 20s, like, mid 20, maybe 30. And I started watching them. And then I kind of saw like some of the loops they were running. And I'm like, that doesn't look very fun. I'm like, this is what they're going to do over and over. Okay, well, we'll see. Well, let's check out the PvP. And then I started watching PvP. And then it looked interesting-ish until I saw some whales come in and just smash people. Like literally one guy would cream an entire team. And I'm like, what's going on? And he just, bought all his shit. And I was like, so what? Okay. All right. So PvP's out because the whales can smash people. All right. Fine. Even though
which is bonkers to me. Like, how would you not
portion of their
PvP,
end game is based on PvP. So
yeah, the whole shadows thing, like that sounds like a great system. But guess what? Because it's pay to win, no one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about a way that I can like describe this waterfall of just how it all just cascades and just gets worse and worse. So the end game is based on PvP that you can spend money to have an advantage, a huge advantage, and not just a little. I mean, like a pretty ridiculous one. So it's pay to win PvP. The end game is based on that PvP to have a system that's set up for one guy to become the immortal, and like others can contribute in this and that, but really the one guy is the man. Like he's the one that's jonesing on it. And you have servers set up. I don't know how many people the servers host, but let's just say you have millions of people playing the game. But it's only going to be a select few people that become the immortal. Like, yeah, you get to participate in the event, but I don't necessarily think that system is appealing to me personally. The pay to win aspect ruins it out of the gate anyways. So then if you look at the PvP, the PvE aspect, and I didn't hit endgame because I watched people and saw what they were doing and asked questions. And I was like, I don't think that's worth my time to invest to experience it myself. But it seems like you have to raise, I'll call it gear score. I don't know if it's called gear score, power score, whatever. You raise your gear score up to unlock different difficulties to get better gear that you kind of just upgrade the gear you already have to unlock these different difficulties. But as your difficulties progress upwards, you're still doing the same activity. You're still going to Zoltan Cool's library and running circles around it or whatever it is, right? So I think the game has a lot of good things about it. I think there are some wins. I think for a mobile game, I think it's pretty cool. But they killed it with me with monetization pretty bad. And the PvP endgame element isn't really my thing, especially since it's pay to win. So there's no compelling reason for me to play.
Yeah, I'm still actively like going. Like I can only go for like an hour because I get a little like annoyed. But yeah, I do think it actually looks pretty good. I think it holds up to like Diablo 3. Honestly, like it looks pretty great, which I did not expect at all. I thought it'd be like, a phone game that was like stretched for like a computer screen. But it actually does look pretty good. I will also say, like, although combat, there's not a ton of abilities, and at least for the Necro, what I've discovered so far, I don't really like pretty much half the Necro abilities. I'm sure there's gonna be legendaries later on that change that, but that kind of goes back to what I hate about D3 is like skills by themselves suck until you get like legendaries, but I do like the combat. Like I don't, obviously Lost Ark is infinitely better in like every way, shape, and form. But I do think it's probably like of ARPGs, it's probably like the second best combat. Like,
because it's cool. It's cooldown based combat. Yeah.
And it's, it's responsive. It's, circle stuff, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that there's probably a lot of people that would probably argue against that, but I mean, those are the only positive things I can say about it. Really, at the end of the day, I'm a little disgusted by how it turned out. I feel like a little debated, I guess, a little. I don't know, man. I can't believe that like they didn't normalize PvP. Like, why even make the shadow system if like only people that pay a bunch of money are gonna be able to play it? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, there's no skill involved whatsoever in something that's supposed to be all skill, like PvP.
It seems like it was this. This is the thing that bothers me. Is it feels like it feels like some devs made a really good game.
Yeah.
And then they came in and said, how can we maximize monetization in this game? What are the things we can do that will highly encourage people to spend money? And then if we don't actually say it's one of the gear slots, but it's a gym, then we can say that you can't buy gear. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of crazy, like the stuff that I don't know, man. The monetization in it feels pretty bad, and there's people that are standing like, oh, you don't have to spend anything, and I had a good time, and I agree. You could level up.
I 100% agree with that too.
I totally agree with that.
You can just play the game,
level up, play the game, play the story, not invest in any competitive aspect of the game, and you could completely get free enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
You could buy the battle pass and get some cosmetics to look cool while you do it if you want to support whatever. But any desire for me to blast the game and go hard is completely out of the window, because I've seen amounts of money, and we'll talk. I mean, do you want to show the Quinn thing?
Yeah, I think I pulled it up.
Yeah. I mean, there's the amount of money that people have spent is absolutely nutty.
All right, I'm going to play this, right? Okay. You want me to play the whole thing?
I mean, yeah. Probably.
Okay, so you're not going to be able to hear it, but they can.
Look at that! Look at that! That's right, bitch! I spent $10,000! I spent $10,000 and got nothing! I spent $10,000 and got nothing! Yes, dude! Fuck yes! That's what I'm fucking talking about!
Jesus Christ.
This is a great game! It's fucking amazing! Blizzard should be proud!
10,000 and got nothing.
Yeah, and it goes. So I've been keeping track. I've been watching
22K apparently.
Yeah, he's at 22,105 is what he ended at today. Now that's New Zealand dollars. So for those of you out there like, oh well, the conversion's not the same. I converted it for you. Don't worry. $14,019 US.
Jesus.
$14,000 and hasn't got a 5-star gem. That is absolutely crazy. If you got if I spent $5, I better get a 5-star gym. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever the top tier is, man. If you put $40 in it, like you should. I don't know. I don't even care. I don't know if the amount that he spend is the thing. I think it's just. I don't even know how to put into words. You know, I don't. So what do you think? What do you think about that?
That seems harsh. I think the weight of really good stuff is just like too low, and maybe that's the point. I don't really know. It seems wild that someone could spend like $10,000.
So I haven't done the math.
At least one crazy thing.
Yeah, I haven't done the math. I've read people that supposedly have done the math, but I didn't fact check them and calculate the math myself. But they're saying that at the current percentages, if they're actually true, it would be $110,000 to fully equip a character to get them juiced up to
Was
max.
that like 5-star in every slot or something?
Yeah, or something like that. They're saying 110,000.
Jesus Christ!
And then they're saying that if you did free to play in the current iteration of the game, it would be something around 10 years of playtime to get that done. Now, again, I don't know how they calculated the math. I didn't confirm that, so it could be wrong. But I've read multiple reports that are in the hundreds of thousands to fully juice. So, okay, so you're not supposed to have a fully maxed out character. That's cool, apparently. I guess. Yeah. I mean, is this system designed just to get the whales to keep spending? You know?
I guess my question would be is like, okay, that's cool, I guess, if there's like, I don't know, no future content being added. But I gotta think that this stuff is gonna get like replaced, like, 3 months down the road when, content patch 1.0 comes out. And like all this.
Here's my thing.
6-star gems. I don't know.
I wonder if like they knew this system was gonna have backlash. There's no way they did it. There's no way that if their internal testing team thought like, oh, this is a great system, people are going to love it, then they're disconnected. You know what I mean? There's no way that this had to have been like, yeah, we're going to get some backlash for this. But the amount of money they've made is probably astronomical, I would assume. And I would also assume that they're making this monetization scheme for the Eastern markets, not for the Western markets, which is where we fall. So they could probably maybe even care less what we think if they're making bukus in the Eastern markets with this. I don't know. But I think in a couple months, they're going to release an expansion or an update and say, hey guys, we're really sorry that the monetization, didn't meet your standards. We've adjusted and here's our new monetization scheme. And it's going to be much better, right? Because they've already cashed in on all the whales. The whales have already spent what they're going to spend. And if they do it in an expansion or an update in the future, all that gear will be invalidated anyway, so they don't have to be like, hey, whales, you spent all that money, now we're breaking your gear.
I kind of don't expect Blizzard to say sorry. I really don't. I think that they're going to blanket it behind like, oh, you guys knew it was a mobile game, so like, blah, blah, blah.
I think it'll change, though. I don't think it'll stay this way.
I think it'll stay. I think maybe they'll like reduce the weight of like spending a ton of money and getting good shit, but no, I don't expect it to change at all. Why would it? Because some PC players are complaining? I don't know.
I don't know, man. It just blows my mind. It really does. Like I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, for sure for me, the desire to even like log in is I want to complete a character. Sure. I want to like have the necromancer and like mess with like legendaries. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, I don't really care that much because this game's like pay to win. So I don't know.
That's my reasoning. My reasoning is like I enjoyed the time I spent on the game, and monetization didn't impact my low level and leveling experience at all.
Agreed.
Like it was totally fine. It was a good story. They had voice acting. It was cool to get new abilities and unlock them and like, oh, what's this do? Okay, cool. I don't like this skill. I like this skill or whatever, right? That felt great. But when I saw the end game and I saw how monetization affected PvP, I was like instantly like, oh man, like why? Why would I like go into a battle or go into a PvP match just to get trampled by a whale every game? Like F that. I'm not doing that. And then it became like, okay, I have time to play a game. What am I going to play? Why would I pick Immortal over the other choices that I have?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's like I'm gonna go play WoW. I'm gonna go play something that I want to play. I'm not gonna make myself go play this because I feel obligated or because I know the community wants me to do it or whatever. Like I'm like, I don't see the appeal. I don't see the end game to make me want to invest my time into this. So it feels bad, man. It feels bad saying that. It feels bad feeling that way. I really wanted the game to be good. I was excited actually when it launched on PC. I woke up and I was like, oh shit, it's out. And I kind of, got my coffee and ran down to my PC and fired it up. I was excited to play, So I'm disappointed that only lasted, a couple hours. But
yeah. I mean, honestly, like after our interview last week, I left that interview being like, okay, like it might not be that bad. Yeah. It might be like Lost Ark. It might be like pay to win, but like who cares? But if you would have told me like right then and there that PvP wasn't going to be normalized, I've been like, oh, well, this game's dead.
Yeah. But and especially like PvP plays such an integral part of the end game.
Yes.
In Immortal.
It's like the only they got rid of the competition of the leaderboards to replace it with this PvP system, and now it's completely shot. I just don't get it.
It's like I just man. It's like you took the biggest end game activity in the game and you just said, here, if you want to spend money, we'll make you better than all these noobs. And maybe it's really funny. Maybe it's fun if you wail out to go in and smash people and like, haha, look at me going through the trailer park. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand, man. But
no shot. I'm dropping a dime.
Yeah, I'm not either. I know. I personally know 3 people that have spent over $3,000.
Personally. Not streamers.
Not streamers.
Okay.
Not streamers. I was like, what? Like the conversations I had blew my mind. I was like, I said, I was like, what? You spent how much? $3,000. Spent $3,000.
Yeah, my IRL brother, he plays like a mobile baseball game, and he's admitted that he spent like thousands of dollars on it. I was like, dude, don't even open Diablo Immortal, because he's hyper competitive and he loves ARPGs. Oh, I'm just like, just don't fucking do it.
It's crazy. I looked for this meme that I saw on Reddit that I was going to bring to the pod because I wanted to show it. I couldn't find it again.
Which one?
It was a meme that somebody had made for WoW, and all the WoW players out there will understand what I'm talking about. But it was at the end. So in WoW, you have Mythic Plus. And think of it like a Greater Rift in Diablo, where you can just turn the difficulty up on a dungeon kind of indefinitely until you can't complete it. But it had the Diablo, the screen in Immortal when you finish a dungeon and it's like 800% value, first time completion, spend 99 cents to get more loot or whatever the price is, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had like re-emulated that in the Mythic Plus dungeon, and it's like, thank you for completing the Mythic Plus dungeon. Please, for $1.99, we'll give you additional drops or something like that. And just the way they made it, it looks so legit and so official. And I was like, oh shit, please delete this. Like, that's a horrible idea. Because if,
yeah,
oh
dude.
Man, it's scary. It's super scary, man. Like, what if you're doing a raid in WoW and at the end it's like, hey, you ran your raid for the week for $2. We'll let you run it again. We'll give you a raid token like Lost Ark does kind of now, people would do that. It's nutty.
For me, the icing on the cake was this shit that like some of the big boys found. So like Rax and Echo Hack found this like hidden cap to your like daily stuff. So there's already World Paragon, right? So you can't like really go that far beyond what other people can do, which I think is like kind of an interesting system. I'm not opposed to it. But what they also found that's not like exposed to players is after 6 legendary drops a day, your drop rate severely decreases for future drops. And this isn't displayed anymore. This is just something that
even
happens.
if you pay money.
Yeah. Well, I actually don't know about that. After a group bonus for 6 normal gems a day, your drop rate severely decreases. Side quests stop giving rewards after 5 per day. Purple bosses stop giving rewards after 5 per day. Random map events stop giving rewards after 5 per day. Certain cool treasure rooms are limited to 5 per day. Hidden layers stop giving gem rewards after just a few completed sections. So these are just like little things that people thought they're going to be able to grind on and get like cool stuff, but
Yeah, they're like, no.
And then you just have to like keep track of it in your head. Otherwise, you're like obviously not min-maxing your time. So that kind of blows too.
Yeah.
And even like, Echo Hack made a video that's like, that fucking sucks. And he's like the biggest fanboy of this game like ever. So, I mean, I think that says a lot.
Yeah. It really does. And it part of me is, I feel like there are so many good people that worked on this game that I honestly hope that this wasn't their decision and they were forced to do this and they tried to make it as best as they could. But, at the end of the day, the execs were like, you have to have this monetization in there or something. It sucks, man, because after the interviews and stuff we had last week, I just feel like, they had to know this was going to be the reception, and
it feels very predatory.
Yeah,
for sure. And I'll be honest, like, when I saw all this stuff and saw all the streamers doing this and read all these countless articles and my already kind of like plummeting Blizzard faith, just goes down more, and it's unfortunate. And I start to be like, I'm looking more and more forward to like, what's the next Path of Exile season? What's PoE 2 gonna bring? Like, obviously, no. Like, okay, even like the same guys making decisions, like they're making some decisions for D4. It's gonna be like this Garbo game. My brain just goes to that. How could it not? Even though it's like, this is mobile game, which you and I both said, like, I don't feel like that really cuts it anymore.
Yeah,
like you can have a mobile game that's profitable. You can have a mobile game that's like fucking predatory, and every aspect of it is like monetized. So I don't know.
It's like every psychological trick, every attempt at gambling, like any kind of predatory monetization scheme invented, I feel like they took advantage of, man. Like 800% value, buy a little dose, and then it's like, here, the first hit's free. First hit's cheap, then we'll raise the price up. Like, I don't know. It's crazy, man.
Agreed.
So, but that kind of segues into the next. We're worried about D4. We're worried about what it's going to happen.
Yeah,
so.
But we will, first and foremost, I wanted to get into this tweet that Adam tweeted out.
Okay.
So our,
this is
old faithful Adam. Like, I don't think that he would have any reason to fib whatsoever. But he tweeted out, D4 is coming out as a full price game built strictly for PC console audiences. This game is huge, and there will be tons of content after launch for all players. Paid content is built around optional cosmetic items and eventually full expansions. We'll be sharing more info soon. So on paper, it sounds like D4 will be strictly cosmetics. And if you're like maybe buy a character pack or, buy a expansion, like I'm totally on board with that. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, like translating that, D4 is coming at a full price game, aka not free to play,
which is great.
Strictly for PC and console, aka not mobile monetization.
Right.
Game is huge. There'll be tons of content after launch, meaning you don't have to pay for it, and it's not all PvP focused. And the cosmetic stuff. That's good, man. I just, I'm kind of with you. That's like, show me. I don't believe it now. You got to show me.
Yeah.
So.
And so, obviously with this came some pretty big announcements. So they came out first with this All Hell Breaks Loose post, which, thank God, introduced the Necromancer. I was honestly, like we talked about a bit at the start of the pod, like I was genuinely worried that like we were going to get Necro as like a pay-to-play class yet again.
Yeah. It wasn't a question if Necro was going to be in D4. It was just a question of, was it a launch character or was it going to be an expansion like D3? I kind of felt it was going to be the last playable class. That would have been where I put my money at, but I'm glad they announced it. So
agreed. But they, came out this like developer showcase video, which was pretty cool. We got to see a bunch of gameplay that we basically never gotten to see before. A bunch of
this is all off of
gameplay.
Xbox too. It didn't look. Is this the Xbox stuff?
It is.
I can't remember. Yeah, I don't think it looked as good. What I saw didn't look as good to me as the previous ones. I don't know if it was because it was on console, but the customization stuff is kind of cool though, I guess.
Yeah,
into that.
Before we get into like the deep dive of this post, I was a little maybe I'm a spoiled little brat now, but I was a little disappointed that like that this was the venue they decided to. This is like a really, really big announcement for D4, like the final class, and the fact that it's Necro, and like we're getting it at like a Xbox thing. And I get like Microsoft owns all this shit now, but like I don't know. Like I just felt like this should have been more like a Blizzard thing, or like
I'm not surprised at it at all with Microsoft buying them and they're doing it on the Xbox stage. Like I that's not surprising. I agree that it would have been cool if they would have done their own, like we have a reveal.
Right.
It kind of came out of nowhere too. There was no setup for this, and it makes me wonder if this was kind of like backlash. What's the word I'm looking for? Kind of fixed. I can't think of what I'm trying to say right now, but like a PR move to good faith, get back on good graces with players because the Immortal backlash. I don't know, but it did feel rushed though. So,
I agree. And we'll get into more of that, but I don't know, man. Like, obviously, I would have loved to be like live streaming when they announced the Necro, but like they had like this like weird Sunday Xbox thing. Like, what? Where did this come from? And then like, boom! All of a sudden, like people are tweeting at me that like, "Hey, Necro's out." I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about?" I'm like, "Wait,
That's
what?"
The same thing for me. People are like, "Yo, did you see the new?" It was like evening. I'm playing WoW, and people were like, "Hey, did you see the new D4 stuff?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Yo, you didn't hear about Necro?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Oh yeah, you should go look." And then so I'm looking for it, and it wasn't like, I mean, it was plastered all over Twitter, but I'm like, "Where's the big announcement? Why wasn't this on the BNet launcher and like all this like this stuff, the usual places?" So yeah, it would have been cool to be able to live stream that or co-stream it.
Agreed.
The announcement. So,
but
it's
anyways,
okay. Like, yeah, I don't know. What did you think? So, what did you think about the Necro reveal? The trailer wasn't crazy. I don't want to shit on it, but it wasn't crazy awesome, man.
I also think it's like the venue. Like if this was like a BlizzCon and we're all sitting at home and like we're getting hyped for like, maybe a class announcement, we don't know what's coming, and we get to see this trailer, I think it's better received, honestly. But yeah, this is just like, I don't know, the fact that it came out of blue and it's just like, it did feel a bit rushed. It doesn't look that good. Maybe it is, live Diablo 4 on Xbox, and so maybe that's the reason it doesn't look as good as some of the other ones. But yeah, it definitely feels like it feels a bit rushed, and
yeah,
I don't know. I didn't really understand it either. Like the guy's like my family, and then he like cuts off his head to use it as like a offhand. I don't really understand it.
To clip it on his butt. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
And then it's just like that's the whole trailer. It's not even like, I don't know. I just felt like it should be a backstory of like what a Necro is, but it's just like he walks into a town and everyone's like, "Uh-oh," and then he finds some wolves, and then
their cinematic team is usually like the best of the best. Like nobody beats them, and it looked like this Necro trailer was all captured in game on the Xbox, maybe like graphically. Like I've played D4. I remember it being like, "Oh, this is amazing. This looks badass," and I didn't get that same vibe from this trailer. The trailer itself was didn't showcase a lot. It had the Necro walking around and like making a circle in the ground. Like it wasn't, I don't know. It just, it did. It felt rushed to me. And then watching some of the gameplay from them, I don't know, man. It didn't give me like amazing vibes. Like I thought that the Rogue looked really cool. When I saw the gameplay for the Rogue, I was like, that looks fucking awesome.
I agree. And I think here's the reason why. All right, so Rogue is like completely foreign, right? It's not been a class since D1, and like they're kind of combining other classes, like maybe like DH, some aspects of that, and some other things. And so it all felt like new and like, oh wow, that's a good idea. And then we see Necro, and this is some of my biggest complaints so far is, we're seeing a lot of D3 skills and like at not good D3 skills at that. We basically see. Like we're gonna just show it right now, but we see like the bone. They show bone spirit, which like you spend all your essence to cast one that like explodes. Like I'm pretty sure that exists in D3, like that exact thing, and it even operates like slow and shitty, like it did in D3. Like that was the biggest problem with that skill in D3 is that it moved too slow to be feasible. And he's casting it here and it's just as slow. And it almost even looks like the exact same animation from D3. And I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah.
No.
And the thing, we don't know the game speed that Diablo 4 is going to run at. Right?
Right.
A slower skill is okay if the pace of the game is much slower. Like, because D3, we run around like rocket ships now. And I hope the D4 doesn't start that way. It'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But yeah, man, I agree. None of the skills jumped out at me like, that's dope. That's really cool. You know,
yeah.
But
I will say so. Then they get into the darkness, and the darkness is like,
yeah, he's like tanking.
I think it's a bit cooler.
Smacked in the face.
No, so this one I didn't like this first ability. I forget what this one's called. It's basically like Siphon Blood from D3. And again, this goes back to what I was just complaining about with like Immortal is like the skill on its own looks like it sucks. I'm sure it's going to get good if you can buff it with legendaries or whatever, but it looks like the skill on its own fucking blows. Like, why would you ever use that? So yeah, that's kind of lame. I do like this one where he throws a blob and it like puts a dot on the ground. Like that's a new Necro skill. I don't mind that.
You know what I like is the camera zoom on this. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but this game looks zoomed out further than past Diablos.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just me. I like it. I like that zoom out. I hope that they keep that.
Then they talked about blood skills, and I'm on board with the blood skills. I think that was a really cool thing in D3. I'm hoping this one seems like dumb. So he like basically blood surge draws amount of like life from nearby enemies. But it seems like if you're like this is PvP, you'd be like, well, okay, he casts that ability and it goes for 3 seconds, and you're gonna get your like one shot charge ability ready, and as soon as he pops out, you're just gonna kill him because you don't move at all. Like he's moving so slow.
Yeah, well, and maybe they could fix it. Like I understand the gist of that. That's like a defensive get out of jail. Maybe it makes you immune.
Yeah. No, it seems like a good idea, but this goes back to like, well, maybe runes are gonna make it faster, maybe it's gonna and then it's like not runes, but like legendary items, and it's just like you're doing it again, Blizzard. Like, make a skill that's good on its own.
Yeah, don't have all the skills suck.
Right, and that's the problem too. Is again, you're gonna fill up your like it's like D3, like you fill up your skill bar, but only like one skill on that bar is like really that fucking poggers, right? And like maybe 2 if your set like uses 2, you know what I mean? Like 2, and then everything else you're kind of filling up like oh you obviously have to have your movement ability, but it's not, you don't have any like runes on it in D or anything like juicing it in D3 because it's like literally just there for movement because you can't afford like legendary effects to go towards that because they're going towards your other stuff. So I hope that this is not something that they're just going to keep doing again. We also see some glimpse of the pets, which I didn't love this like Book of the Dead thing. I did find some gameplay. I should have had it ready to go for this. I'll probably end up actually doing like a breakdown of the Necro, but I found like the Book of the Dead, and you can like a video that showcased the sacrifice, and the sacrifices only give like one thing. It seems like they should give like multiple things, but yeah, it's like a buff to your character, which is like sounds cool in theory. Like, okay, I don't have to run pets, which is fantastic. I hate pets, which is weird because I'm a Necro.
Yeah, I like pets. Yep, go for it.
And yeah, but like they're just like a static effect, and it's like, well, how do you know that effect's going to be good for like your particular build, or is it just going to be a flat damage? And if it's flat damage, aren't you always going to sacrifice like your skirmishers, for example? Like, I don't know. That seems like kind of like a dangerous, like obvious meta route with the pets. But it does sound cool. They're like taking up a dedicated slot, so it's not like wasted, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think balancing that's going to be really, really difficult as well.
Probably true.
Because you're going to have, you can't play no pets because it sucks, or you can't play pets because no pets is 10 times stronger. So,
but then listening to them, I don't know, talk about corpses, right? Like, it's obviously Essence. I don't mind them reusing the resource pool from D3, right? Like, it's Essence and it's corpses. Like, that's fine. I don't think that system was wrong. Obviously, the problem is corpses. Like, what? Like have an interview with me. Like, I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they have no way of generating corpses in D3. None of the legendaries are good for generating corpses. The problem with the corpses is like they always just like, like you'll clear a room and then you have like 100 corpses on the ground. Like, well, cool. I guess I just leave him here. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe there should be like golem that like he like just takes the corpses so you could like use them on demand or like something. I just hope they're not going to get doomed again with some like, okay, Land of Dead. Now I can use corpses skills for free or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. Even the Immortal has like, okay, you can swipe and every enemy hit by your swipe generates a corpse. And that's an improvement on D3, but still it's like, it's still kind of meh. So I hope that they've really, really rethought corpses. And
I haven't put time into it, but like your corpse dies, maybe you can reanimate that same corpse or something, instead of it just being shot in the dark. But yeah, I'm with you. There needs to be a way to get your army back if you're playing pets. So.
It was also interesting those Necros can use swords, daggers, wands, focuses, and shields, as well as their class unique scythe. So that's cool. I did like the look of some of this stuff that they showcased here. Does seem like they're going for like a, kind of emo check. Necro, I don't mind that.
I did notice that.
The gear looks good. Can't like if it's slow motion or is it just lag? I don't even know.
I'm not sure either.
That one looks interesting. But yeah, this one looks poggers. Like this is my favorite for sure. Can't really see.
Yeah. I know the game's gonna look good. Like the even the beginning, like in the first couple seconds, there's like the tattooed up, guy and girl and stuff. And like I'm assuming those would be more early starter style Necros, but they look good, man. The tats all over them. I like that. So
one thing that was an immediate red flag for me, and I don't know if you saw this or even read this article, but so curses are coming back, and it's like, okay, fine. But at the same time, it's like, God, curses are boring. Like you just literally cast them, and it's a debuff, and that's it.
And it'll become an aura eventually. It'll be like aura.
Maybe.
All over
who knows?
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. I also, but curses is like, well, if I'm playing in a group, fine. But like, if I'm just me, why am I gonna waste? Like, I'd rather have a skill in my bar that like does something cool. So I don't love that. And then fucking Iron Maiden is coming back. It's like, stop doing thorns. Like literally stop. It's so stupid. It's so fucking stupid. It is just like doesn't age well. It's a worthless play style. Stop with the fucking thorns. It's so dumb.
I agree too. But yeah, especially on Necro. Like maybe thorns on a Crusader build, maybe thorns on a bar build, but not on a Necro.
No thorns, period. What? How is it exciting to like? Well, I don't do any damage, but if you hit me, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like that's so stupid.
I don't know. I could one class could have it, but Necro's not the class, right? I that's fine. If you want to have one class have it, that's fine, but not Necro. That's not.
You could trick us, right? You could say like, oh, Necro gains dark aura skill for 10 seconds. Like if anyone hits you, like a dark thing will shoot at them. You know what I mean? Like that's different. But like strictly adding thorns as a mechanic is what's being done here. It's like, no, I don't want that at all.
Well, they could add a reflect, a spell reflect, or damage reflect, like to sorceress or to any class even. So if they want that, but. I'm with you. I hate thorns. I refuse to play it in D3. I played the Thorns Crusader build, but it really wasn't thorns, so to say. You're dealing damage with your attacks based on your thorn stacks. Like it was, so it really wasn't thorns. It was thorns, but not thorns. So just in general, I don't like it either. I'm with you. But if they want to do it, just don't do Necro. It's not a Necro thing.
Yeah, I think that it's also like I would think it would be really hard to like efficiently scale with other stuff, but what do I know?
They're going to try to balance PvP in this game too, which is scary.
Yeah.
AF. I hope they can pull it off, man. I would love to have an ARPG with good PvP, but we'll see, if they do. All in all, though, for the quarterly blog, I guess I don't know how I feel about it. So if you watch the trailer, they said Endgame activities. Let me read the written description. Does it say anything? Like they just say Endgame, but they don't actually talk about any of them, right?
They do.
Do they?
Okay, so there's a couple articles I have here. So one in their post, so they talk about endgame offerings, right? So first, you might try to take on nightmare dungeons, which are transform in teaming with enhanced demonic dangers, find difficulty, and form new objectives, afflictions to the dungeon, blah, blah, blah. Perhaps you want to branch off into another direction, say, place roots down for the future. Look no further than the Tree of Whispers, an endgame system that will provide you with frequently cycling world objectives and bounties that will reward you with legendary gear, experience, crafting materials, and more. So already, it sounds like rifts and bounties. I don't know.
Tree of Whispers, an in-game system provides you with frequently cycling world objectives. Yeah, so it's world bounties.
Yeah,
like
bounties and rifts. That's what it sounds.
I mean, okay.
And the way, so there's another interview with like Joe Shelley where he kind of talks about the dungeons. Like there's a lot of them, which is like, okay, well that sounds cool, but it's basically like now instead of just going to the like the GR pylon, you like physically go to the dungeon. I don't know what the appeal will be to like go to different dungeons, you know what I mean? Like hopefully I hope that there's some kind of
a lot of spots because you're not even gonna like unless they're clearly marked in the map, you're already gonna have to like look it up every time. Oh, I need to do this dungeon.
I'm hoping there's some like big brain like Atlas system here where like, oh, you have to do like all the dungeons and then that will unlock like a boss or I don't know, something. So there's a big reason to like do more than just grind one over and over and over and over.
150 is a lot. We'll have to see how that plays out. But that's a system. That's not enough to carry the game, in my opinion, though. Yeah.
Agree. So, oh yeah, it's just two.
Yeah.
Right. Two.
Yeah.
And it's what we know already, and which aren't bad systems. I'm not saying that these like bounties. I mean, bounties in D3 kind of suck. Hopefully, there's a ton of like actually rotating objectives, and hopefully they can just add more over time.
The Tree of Whisper thing to me seems like a world quest from World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
If you've ever done any of them, if for those of you who haven't, you could pull your map up, and on your map you can see like, oh, there's a thing here, and if you hover your mouse, it'll say kill 10 guys or collect 10 stones or whatever the objective is. It's just a little mini quest, and then you get a reward for completing it.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cool? Like, yeah, it gives you something to do sometimes, but it's not. I don't know, man. It's not like, oh, this is amazing. I can't wait to go do World Quest. I've never been like, I can't wait to log on and do World Quest and WoW ever. So it's an end game activity, but as a filler, it's not going to carry at all. So,
they also talk again about the Paragon board, which was something that they kind of teased in one of the last quarterly updates. Again, we're not seeing a ton of like examples of this. In one of the interviews, he's like, well, you can get this new Paragon board and the options you can take are like +5 strength. And it's like, I don't even think you know how much that makes the community cringe. Like you literally said like +5 strength. So yeah, I think we really need to get our hands on this sooner than later. Hopefully there's someone that like knows.
I feel bad, man. I feel like I always feel negative about these quarterly vlogs, and I do. Like, I don't know, man. This whole podcast, I've been sitting here thinking, like, damn. In my head, I'm like, oh, I just kind of shit on the graphics, even though I know the game looks pretty, and I'm like, oh, I just kind of like shitting on the end game systems, and I'm scared about this or scared about that. But it's true, man. It's how I feel. So
Sure.
I guess because I'm invested in the game so much, I just trying to justify my negative feelings for today, but I'm not super excited. I'm cool. I'm glad that Necro's coming out, although nothing that was shown for the Necro made me super excited. I didn't see anything that I was like, damn, that looks dope. When I saw the Rogue reveal, I was like, that looks dope.
Yeah, agree.
You know what I mean? When I saw the Necro reveal, I'm like,
but it's just like when we played the demo, like we had a time of our lives on Druid, but playing the Sorcerer, playing the Bar was kind of like, well, this kind of feels like D3.
Mm-hmm. So and even the Druid felt like D3, if I'm being honest. Though.
Well, yeah, but it was like at least it was new,
but
right?
Yeah, but it still was like this is D3. So, yeah.
But I did find this other thing, right? So before we go on, there was a big interview, and I'll probably break this down even further, like next podcast, because I definitely want to dive more and like pull out the little things that maybe people missed or whatever. But Wowhead did kind of like a summary. And so in their title of this article is D4 new details, Paragon board cap, which is 100, which we already knew. A 35-hour long campaign is what they're saying. So I don't think we knew that, right?
No, that's significant. That's a chunk of time.
Yeah. Which, think about doing that every season. Okay. Hopefully it's good.
Well, we don't know.
Yeah,
the campaign in D3 is one thing, and we do season in adventure mode, right?
Yeah.
So maybe there'll be ways around that. Doing a 35-hour campaign for every tune is also pretty. I hope that there is like a alt character skip thing. I don't know. Do I? I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. We'll have to see how it plays. But
I mean, yeah, if it's engaging enough, like people like I think like Path of Exile is pretty split. Like people are like, God, I just don't want to run the axe anymore. But me, it's like every single time I do a new character, I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, because like in D3 we get an alt character boost up in 5 seconds.
Yeah,
and then
but that's
you're ready to go,
that's
and that's pretty
ridiculous.
stupid, right?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, in WoW, if I want an alt character, we're talking about a month-long project, 2-month-long project, 3-month-long project, right? Do I want it to be that bad too? Probably not, but at the same time, that project can keep you coming back. Like, that's something though, right? If it's that much time investment for a character, it makes you want to come back and play if the end game's fun. So.
They also said unlockable difficulties, and the way they described it again, it took me back to D3. And so, a lot of the feelings I'm getting, like we see, like, maybe the Necro thing felt rushed. I see a lot of reused stuff in the Necro. I see, we're seeing bounties, we're seeing basically rifts. Now unlockable difficulties, which they explain is like, it's basically like, Torment fucking 1, 2, 3 being out in the world, right? So it's like, man, they're just really reusing a lot of D3 stuff, which, we're big D3 fans, but
a lot of games have done a similar system, right?
Sure.
Like, so I'm going to go to Division because they stole Division's PvP endgame 100%. Division uses a world tier system. A lot of games use a world tier system or a difficulty system.
Sure.
So you're out in the world and it's on Torment 1, for example. Okay, so then you get juiced up, you go to Torment 2. Diablo Immortal, Hell 1, Hell 2, right? Same kind of concept. I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily like that, because it's like, once you're out of that bracket, all that content, it's not really content. Like, it's just the same thing, and you're killing it faster and it's hitting you harder, but it's really the same thing because you have more gear and HP. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not, again, like you're saying, even though it's a cop from D3, a lot of games use it, and I don't think the system's ever been amazing. Like, because ultimately you get in the last tier and then you blast. So
hopefully there's ways to, like, I don't know. Like, I think PoE does a pretty good job, like with the Atlas and
PoE doesn't have the tiers. It doesn't have the difficulty for the world. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah, well, maps have tiers, but like
but for their open world stuff, it doesn't. And
it makes also like you can get to the top tier, but also juice things up like insane. So I don't know.
Yeah, because then it just raises questions like, okay, hey Fluff, I made a new character, but I'm on Hell 1 and you're on Hell 7. Can you carry me through Hell 7 for a little bit, juice me up? It's like, is that how it's gonna play? I don't know.
But they also said, you don't have to like do the campaign if you want, like, if you just want to like explore and like do these like world events or whatever, you can do that. They said it was a 100 max level, finite Paragon, which is a good play, but I do question, like, well, if we're not looking at gear that's as complicated as like Path of Exile and like kind of simplistic, like, how are we gonna get bored? Are we gonna like get burned out that we're not chasing something? Who knows? They talked about world bosses again, and they showcased the new guy, which looked like Greed a bit. Which is fine. I mean, I'm okay with like bosses being reused, whatever. But they also mentioned it was like only 8 people per world boss or something like that before they shard.
Okay. I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Didn't we have more than that in the demo?
I feel like we did.
I feel like we did. Definitely had more people than that. I think I remember during an interview we had at BlizzCon where Joe Shelley, I think, is the one that said it. He said that they have a switch that they can flip to set how many people can be active in the world at a time, so they can adjust that. If it feels too populated or feels too meek, they can manipulate those numbers. They're designing it to be able to manipulate. So Maybe if they're starting off on 8 and it feels too small scale, then they'll juice it up, or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
8 doesn't seem like a lot to me though.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of it on the D4 stuff. I mean, I'm gonna have a lot more probably to bring out next week, but I think that was a good gist. Unless you have anything else.
No, I think we covered most of the topics in there. So,
well, yeah, overall,
2023 release date.
2023.
Did we talk about that?
No, not really.
I mean,
that's probably gonna be Q4 2023. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean December 30th, 2023. Which is fine.
At least
which is fine. It's totally fine because I haven't seen anything that made me think the game was ready to be released. Like, we don't know. Right. We don't know loot. We don't know itemization. We don't know endgame activities.
We know a little.
I mean, we don't know, not enough to carry the game.
Yeah,
right.
For sure.
So the stuff that we know is like, well, this isn't enough to be a game. So I hope that they have some endgame itemization. I'm scared about, and endgame activities. I really hope they have a gem up their sleeve, an ace up their sleeve to be like, hey, we have this great idea, aces. And right. we're not telling you guys because we're afraid PoE is going to steal it and have it in their next league. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So because they probably could. You know what I mean? If they would have showcased a endgame activity in 2019 that looked good, PoE would have had it out by now. You know what I mean? So
I feel like PoE, if they really wanted to know something, they could probably get it.
They probably could too. I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. So,
but in other news, we're always worth mentioning. So I guess D2R just did a massive ban wave yesterday, the largest so far. So
they banned a bunch of people on WoW too.
Good. Get fucked.
They're doing their ban waves right now. Get them.
And then nothing really to report on the PoE front. I think combinators are very successful. People love them. People are making some crazy stuff. I love that. But I'm more interested to see, like, will we see a Path of Exile, like a counter, right? Like, so they just announced all this big D4 stuff. Are they going to come out with a new PoE 2 trailer, or are they going to have another video? I mean, they did talk about PoE 2 quite a bit in the Q&A section of the last announcement for Sentinel.
Did they?
I mean, yeah.
Anything juicy you remember from that?
Yeah, I mean, if you go back and watch the pod that we talked about, I think there were quite a few things. I don't remember off the top of my head, but
you talked about it.
I think we talked about it. Yeah, I think you kind of glaze over when we talk about that.
That's what I'm saying. You talked about it. I don't remember. I'm being serious.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm curious if they're gonna kind of react with their own maybe. And I still think the play is to maybe beat them. To launch. I don't know. Because to me, it's like...
Wait, for PoE to be D4?
Because people are going to be hyped
if
to play
PoE
D4.
2 comes out and it's good, the D4's fucked.
It's going to be good. PoE 2 is going to be a good game, period. There's no question.
You're so confident.
I am. Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be?
I don't know.
It's the same game. It's not like a brand new game. It's
hold on. We're going to try this again. D4 is going to be awesome.
I agree. I hope.
I hope. Wait, no, it's not the same. Hold on. PoE 2 is going to be awesome.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. D4 is going to be awesome.
I hope so.
Okay, that's what I thought. I agree with you. Yeah.
So yeah, but I gotta think that you try to beat them in the launch because there's gonna be a lot of hype. People want to play D4, want to play a new RPG, and oh my god, all of a sudden there's this PoE 2 thing. What is this? Well, I want to check it out. Wow, this is amazing. And then D4 comes out, everyone jumps ship, and then maybe D4 sucks, and they're thinking in the back of their brain hey, PoE 2 is really awesome. I guess I'm just gonna go back to that.
Yeah, I do think it's a misplay if they come after D4. I think they gotta come. They gotta go first.
But I'm sure, Chris Wilson's got a big brain. I'm sure he's thought this through. There's something we're not thinking about.
He knows the release dates. When Cyberpunk dropped, he's like, listen, we're moving the date. Why? Here's why. It's gonna F us. So he knows.
Yeah.
He probably even knows. He's like, okay, we got a deadline, 2023. Let's go. PoE 2 might be ready to ship, and they're just delaying it. You know, they're like, hey, this is it. This is the execution move. Wait till they announce and drop it a month before. Boom.
Yes, time will tell.
How's PoE Mobile? Is that actually ever released?
Oh my God. It's funny too because like Quinn was reminiscing on his stream because me and Quinn played Path of Exile Mobile together the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And within, I want to say about, let me put the screen up so I'm not, I want to say within about, a minute, he was unable to move. His character was just like slamming the ground and like walking forward. So he's basically like botting already. Couldn't control his character anymore. You know, it was no loop filter, which I'm sure you know at least that much of Path of Exile. If you've got a loop filter on, it's like it's this bam screen and it's on a mobile phone. So it's like, you're like, well, I guess I'll pick up that and then like that. And then, you know, it's awful. It was awful experience. So I'd be curious to see how that's going to go. But again, I have just zero interest in playing. Like even when Diablo Immortals like first launched, like I went to the lake that weekend, right? And I hadn't even heard about like, okay, the game's like pretty shady or whatever. And I had moments where I could have easily like for an hour or two picked up my phone, play some Diablo Immortal, and I am just not interested in playing a game on my phone whatsoever. Like I'd rather just like look at Instagram reels or like I don't know literally anything else on my phone. I just have zero desire.
I'm the same, but I think that's because we have and are PC gamers. Right?
Yeah.
And like console gamers. Like I have. It doesn't. To me, it's like I'm in the house. Like if I want to play a game, I'll sit right here. Like I don't leave the house that much. And if I leave the house, I'm invested in what I'm doing. Exactly, right? It's like I'm at this, you know, whatever I'm doing. Like if I like you're at the lake, enjoy the lake.
Right.
Like you're there. You're not, you know, like I'm not that addicted where I have to be playing a game or what the hell. So I don't know, man. I was excited to play it on PC. I really was. I was genuinely it's been a while since I've been that excited to play a game. Right.
Really? Okay.
And it's because it was like, oh, it's Diablo. Like shit, it's on PC. Let's go. Like I'm hyped. Let's check it out. It's gonna be good. I didn't realize at that point that monetization had killed it already. You know?
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe this could be fun. Maybe it'll be like Lost Ark where it's not gonna affect it that much and we can still enjoy it. And I can go hard for a couple weeks, if nothing else, right? Like, you know, Diablo 3 new season comes out, boom, you got at least a week, right? You can play and grind.
Sure.
And maybe I can do that. And then it was like a couple hours. And then as soon as I started just like looking at other streams and just seeing what like, oh, this is Endgame. Oof. You know, like this whale just smashed everybody. Oh my God. You know, like why would I? Okay, I'm never going to play that activity. What else is left?
Yeah. It's funny because God,
you know, like,
us 3 weeks ago on the pod, we're like, you know, Immortal could like potentially replace D3, like if it's not like pay to win, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
it still could though. That's the thing. Is like it's a good enough game that it could. They could have made this game. This game could have redefined mobile. Instead of conforming to the mold and being like, oh, this is the accepted mobile market monetization. This is blah blah blah. And even Wyatt and these guys said it. They said we're making a AAA title on phone. We're not making a mobile game. We're making a AAA title, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, you succeeded in part of that, but you could have changed the way that mobile games are looked at. You had the platform, you have the audience, you have the IP, you have everything you need to do it, and then you fucked it up. Like you had it, but you didn't do it. You could have done it, but you didn't do it. You know? And it sucks, man, because I really feel like if they would have monetized this properly, this game could have been big. It could have been really big. I mean, it's still probably big. I don't know numbers. They might be, you know, swimming in beds of $100 bills right now. Like, I don't give a fuck what you think, PChild. I just made $10 billion last month, you know?
Probably.
So who cares? You know, but I don't know, man. It's disappointing to me personally.
Agreed.
But and it sucks because I like there's so many people that you know, I like Wyatt a lot, man. It sucks he was on the pod the week before and you know, and it feels bad that I feel this way about.
Well, it's
the
not
game,
like her shit talking to Wyatt. It's just.
No, I know. I'm just saying it just
Yeah.
feels bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it just feels bad.
Agreed. Is what it is.
Yep. I guess that's it.
Yep.
For the schedule. You got some loves. You got some hates.
Of course. I have loves and hates.
You got both.
I do. Rare Fluff loves.
All right.
But you know, the boys started back up, and
Okay.
goddamn, that first episode was pretty poggies. I was enthralled the whole time. But I mean, I'm a pretty big boys fan. That's probably my favorite show.
Yeah, I like the boys a lot too. I watched the first episode. There's more out, right?
Yeah, I think there's like 4.
Yeah, I've seen one. I've seen the first episode.
That's it. Yeah, for me.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you reminded me of a scene that I had somehow forgotten. It's like,
I don't know how to
gracious.
forget about that.
Yeah, well, it was a pretty thing, you know.
Yeah. At first, when
experience
they showed it, I was like, "What is that?" And then I was like, "Oh God,
God, yeah." That show. That have you seen Peacekeeper yet?
yeah, I didn't like it."
What?
Yeah,
It's like The Boys.
no,
But
it's not. It's stupid.
it
Stupid
is.
humor. It's stupid, like boner humor.
Oh my God.
Not the same at all.
Okay, we can't even. We're not friends anymore. So, all
right,
right.
my
So
Fluff.
you like?
Fluff hates. This is probably gonna go over most people's heads, but it's like a CrossFit thing. I fucking hate overhead squats and dumbbell or not dumbbell snatches, but snatches. I'm
Okay.
just can't do them. Can't. My shoulders don't bend that way. I hate it. It aggravates my arm. But I'm like, I want to learn how to do them. I mean, I know how to do them, but I want to like get better at them. So I want to like go to those workouts. But I usually end up skipping any like snatch or overhead squat workout. I can't.
You don't like snatch?
Don't like the snatches. I don't like the overhead squats.
Okay.
It's a problem. It's a weakness. It's like me in basketball. Can't do it.
Can't do basketball?
Oh God, I'm the worst. Like there's not a lot of things, like I'm hyper competitive and there's not a lot of things that I'm just like, you know what? I'm just never meant to be good at that. Basketball is absolutely one of those things that I just gave up on 100%.
Love it. Yeah, so for my loves, what all right. It's not a love. It's not a
Okay.
hate. I don't know what this is. This is in the
A Fluff
gray area.
or a PChild meh?
Yeah, it's kind of a meh. Obi-Wan.
Yeah, I concur.
It's kind of a meh. Like, I was really hyped for it. The trailer was done really well. The
Same.
trailer looked amazing. The first episode aired, and I was like, I kind of already knew this is the direction it was going. And I've watched unless one came out this week. There might have been one that came out this week. I don't know, but I'm pretty caught up, I think. And I don't know, man. It's okay. Like there's things I like about it. There's things I drastically dislike about it. But overall,
I have a hard time.
Expectations were set higher.
I agree with that. I also have a hard time with like little kids as like main characters.
Yeah,
But I
And
don't like kids.
here's
so.
the thing. Like if you're not a kid person or you're not a parent, I think it makes it a lot harder to relate to
Yeah,
that.
for
And
sure.
if you're a parent, then you get it because you've done it. I genuinely think it's a bad play in movies to do that because everybody's experience is different and how you would handle it is different. Like, the kid's acting up, one parent might snatch him up and be like, hey, knock it off. Or another parent might like, Tommy, don't do that, please. Like there's just so many ways to parent it and it drives people nuts. I don't know, but I agree with you.
And it's weird because like I like movies where like the whole cast is maybe kids. Like it's telling me about like the boys' experience, like The Sandlot, for example. I think that's a great movie, and it's all about kids. So it's like it can be done in certain ways, but I think it's just like when there's one that's a kid and it's like not the point of. I mean, I guess it kind of is, but at the same time, no. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't hate it though. It's not bad. Like it's better than Boba Fett.
I agree. Yeah,
Early episodes, like Boba Fett got good at the end when Mandalorian showed up.
it's still like a hodgepodge of random shit. I didn't like it at all.
But it's definitely better than that. But yeah, I mean, I just had as always, I set my expectations high and didn't live up. But so that's kind of my
pop off. You know, maybe, hopefully.
I mean, there's not much time left. You know what else bothered me?
How many episodes do we get? Do you know?
It's like 6 or 7.
Oh,
like
fuck.
Yeah, it's not going to pop off. There's no time left.
Damn.
So I think it's 7. Also, the episodes are really short. The first one was like 57 minutes. Okay, and the second one, because the first 2 came out. So when the first 2 came out, I had like a big deal. My son and I, we actually went and like we were going to the movies. We bought some candy and drinks and like, you know, had the whole deal. I had my theater room set up. Like, you know, we made a whole deal out of it. And the second episode was like 42 minutes or something like that. But by the time he took credits out and intro out, it ended up being like a 30-something minute episode. And I'm like, what the hell? And then like episode 3 or 4 was like 31 minutes or something, like after credits. It's like, you're only doing 6 or 7 anyways, boys. Like, what is this 30-minute episode shit?
Yeah.
Give us some juice. So, and then did we already talk about did we talk about Doctor Strange? I mean, that's been a while, but
the movie?
Yeah.
No, we haven't, I don't think.
Oh, that was pretty mad too.
I concur. I had high hopes for Strange.
Yeah, me too. I felt it was
there's
pretty
a lot
mad.
you can
I
do
left
with
the
that.
theater going,
You know, I will say that the trailer, I think, did a good job of not giving away the movie.
yes, I agree with that. Yeah, because I didn't when it happened, I was like, oh, okay. And then towards the end, I was like, all right, this is I don't want to ruin it.
Which is rare, right? Because like usually like you see a trailer, you're like, oh, like now I fucking know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But
no. It wasn't that good either. It wasn't the worst, but it was definitely one of the
I agree.
It was on the bottom level.
Was that
for Marvel
character's
movies.
name really America?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fucking dumb.
and they're not. Yeah, that's not
The
even.
power was fucking dumb. But anyway.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. So that's fine. I don't like who writes that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a real. Maybe that's a thing.
That
they were
probably
being true to
is,
the comics.
right?
I don't know.
But like, ugh.
Let's jump into some Twitter questions. If you guys want